Well, hello friends, and welcome back to another edition of Austin's American Flyer, where today I've got some good content that I think you're going to appreciate. And this content's going to be for those of you that are trying to do maintenance on your Flyer engines, are doing major overhauls on your Flyer engines, and who may just enjoy hearing about what people do to keep their Flyer engines running. And so I think there's going to be something for everyone. So we're going to start off, as I have in the past, with an engine that is pretty accessible, and that's a 300. And in this particular case, we're using a Type 1 1946 300. And we'll go through it, we'll get it figured out, understand what needs to happen to it, we'll get it worked on. And in the process, I want to do a little experimenting. One of those things I want to experiment with is ultrasonic cleaning. So you don't want to miss that. That's something that's new. Another thing I'm going to experiment with is 3D printed insulators for the drive wheels. So again, something I haven't done on this show before, on this program, so hopefully you'll stick around for that as well. The other thing that I want to do that I've been asked to do and haven't done before is install a link coupler. So that's those three things plus some more are going to happen today on Austin's American Flyer. I should also say that this is going to be split up into multiple video clips because the content is pretty significant. It's huge. So for those of you that would like to see everything all at one time, I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. Because I'm going to split this up into smaller bite-sized chunks, and hopefully you'll all appreciate that. So, without any more delay, let's get rolling today on Austin's American Flyer, tips, tricks, and repairs on steam engines from A.C. Gilbert. This is a 300, and the reason I thought I'd go ahead and start the camera rolling here is because, again, this relates to the video series that we're currently in, which is the O to S transition. As stated in the video, Flyer introduced before the war in 1941 an Atlantic, and it then was carried over into S scale, and there are some interesting things about it. The valve gear on the side retained kind of that little bit more ornate fashion with this mini mini valve gear, eccentric. I don't know what it's for, but it, little bling. So that was kind of cool. Another thing, I don't know if you recall from watching the videos, but they started by rolling the flange on the smokestack. This is pre-war with O gauge, 3/16 scale Atlantics, but then pretty quickly after they started abandoning the practice, theory being that it probably damaged the casting because of the downward force. But then it returned post-war when they went away from this. This is considered a 4-piece shell. And they went to a single casting, and then that returned. So that's kind of interesting. So if you find yourself with a 4-piece, again, 4 pieces, this is 1 piece, this front cowcatcher assembly separates, and then the crosshead guide separates. So 1, 2, 3, and I think they considered the weight number 4, maybe the boiler front 4. I don't know. Somehow they got 4. But if you find yourself with a 4-piece Atlantic, a couple things that you might want to inspect just to try to figure out what year it might be. Number 1, look at the tender, and does it have an indentation? If it does, that's going to tell you that it's a pretty early version. According to Doyle, there were two types that had an indentation, and they were the Type 1 and Type 2. So exactly the first year they made them, the first version and the second version both had this indentation, if my memory serves me correctly. So judging by that, and obviously the tenders could be swapped, but we've got 300 here, we've got 4-piece shell, we've got indentation, so that makes me think, all right, probably a type 1 or type 2. All right, what's another way to determine if it's a type 1 or type 2? Well, you take your chassis and you flip it over, and if it has some brass buttons underneath, then that means it's a type 1. These brass buttons were, I believe, intended to be a sort of track trip. Again, I'm not sure that ever became reality, but if you see these two buttons down here, you can, and you've got the tender, you've got the 4-piece, you've got the trailing truck that is not connected to the tender, then those things all say, hey, this is a type 1 Atlantic. So that's what we have